Hey there, fellow beer fans and sci-fi nerds. Welcome to HenHouse's first ever expanded universe debate, where two of our brewery's most stellar fans defend their favorite fictional universes, and you, our adoring audience, pick which franchise wins by typing your votes within the comments section. Whichever fandom wins the debate gets some serious bragging rights throughout the galaxy. We are boldly going where no HenHouse has gone before. The extra exciting part? HenHouse is releasing a brand new double IPA called Expanded Universe. Expanded Universe is the out-of-this-world double IPA version of our delicious flagship IPA, which is the center of our hoppy universe, and is being released today. Yes, that's right. May the froth be with you. Today's debate, Star Wars versus Star Trek. Which is better? You decide. On screen before me, I have a fun list of topics, which each with their own subsections. Our representatives have 6 minutes to cosmically defend their universe. However, since we're all pretty passionate about sci-fi, if our representatives start going off course or are about to exceed the 6 minutes mark, I'll either use this lightsaber or communicator to give them 10 more seconds to complete. Representing Star Wars, you may remember him from such things as last year's popular Instagram show, Take Me Back to the Ball Game, as well as one of the hosts of last May's A New Hope movie watching party on Zoom, Wes. Hi, Wes.
Well, hello there. I'm Wes, sales coordinator, office ninja at HenHouse Brewing, and mega fan of the Star Wars franchise, ready to represent all day. Cheers. May the force be with you.
Right on. And today, representing Star Trek, you may remember him as a frequent guest on HenHouse's Instagram segment, 5 o'clock somewhere. And he's just overall famous in Sonoma County. Fridge, welcome, Fridge.
Going boldly over here, Sarah. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Fridge. I'm a marketing coordinator here at HenHouse. Used to be a flight attendant in the bar as well, and still doing tours in the brewery on occasion as well. Cheers.
Fantastic. And my name is Sarah, and I was your host as well as the mediator for today's debate. I am the neutral zone as well as sales coordinator here at HenHouse.
That's what's up.
Enough with the introductions. Let's light speed skip into this debate. Engage. So, gentlemen, start your warp drives and may the best universe win.
May the force be with you, Fridge.
All right. So, our first topic, best technology. So again, you have 6 minutes to share your thoughts, feelings, defend your universe, and overall technology. And go.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, if we're looking at warp drive, warp engines, flying hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, kid. It actually takes skill in the Star Wars universe. You know, I feel like in Star Trek, you just hit a button and go and everything's clean and crisp. But like, you know, making the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs is dangerous business. You got to invest in that.
Yeah, automation. Oh, what a horror. You know, the replicators and the holodecks and the built-in universal translators, all such terrible advances, no doubt. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, but does the Star Wars universe even have shields? Like,
of course,
what's up with that?
Yeah, they had shields up around the Death Star at the Battle of Endor.
I mean, I just don't think that they can even compare to the level of the shielding or, you know, the invisibility tech that you would find on a ship. But, I mean, call me when the Millennium Falcon gets a holodeck, you know? That's what I gotta say.
How convenient, though. Like, everything is so easy in Trek. Like, you just hit a button and the warp drive works and everything's luxurious and you've got your holodecks. And Star Wars is a lived-in universe. It's worn, it's battered, it's bruised. It's different than looking at Battlestar Galactica or Lost in Space or Metropolis or Star Trek, where everything's polished and perfect. This is a more realistic future where you have beat-up ships, but they still got it where it counts.
I mean, the advancements that are made are huge, and they come on the backs of countless engineers, all the way through many centuries. A lot of hard work went into creating all this automation. Didn't just come out of nowhere. The NX-01 wasn't the luxury starship that we have later on in the 24th century. But, all that comes from just tons of effort being put in.
I mean, you want to talk about effort. You're looking at Han and Chewie literally keeping the Falcon running. Like, this one goes here, that one goes there. Hand me the Hydro Spanner. Like, these guys are getting their hands dirty to make this ship work. And it does, and it works well.
Well, Chewie would definitely make a fine addition to the engineering team of the Starship Enterprise, no doubt.
I cannot argue that.
He just hits things with a hammer.
He also pulls arms off people that lose to him.
That's true. I feel like Star Trek does a lot more running, though. Like, even though there's more buttons, like, there's a lot more running down hallways trying to fix things. So.
Oh, there's a lot of drama. You have to get through a door before it shuts down, very dramatically. My boy Geordie LaForge definitely had a lot of extra time getting under a certain door in one scene that people always reference. But nonetheless, the technology is dope. We got medical tricorders, even the weapons that we have, like, I'll talk about this later on, but like phasers are used as tools as well. There's a certain elegance and sophistication to the technology in Star Trek. It does feel a little bit more classy, but all that comes from many, many years of hard work, like I was saying.
I won't argue that it's there's elegance. And yeah, sure, it's classy, but that's the exact same reason that I prefer the Star Wars tech, where you got to make that R5 unit work because it's got a bad motivator, right? Like, you got to get your hands dirty, get in there. Lucas had that sort of hot rod mentality that we saw with American Graffiti, where it's like, your vehicles inside and out, and you love them, and you care about it, and you know how to work on it. That's what's up. Like, they kept that ship running. The Millennium Falcon ran because of blood, sweat, and tears.
And the Enterprise ran because of blood, sweat, and tears too. The captain has to stand in a position to command over 1,000 people sometimes on one ship. It's a work of art. All of the pieces of the technology moving together in symphony together.
I mean, the Falcon is a work of art. That's a YT-1300 Corellian freighter with hidden storage compartments, a Dejarik board. You got to know exactly where to hit it to get the hyperspace going. Like, the thing is so dialed in.
And I mean, when we're talking here about, we're going to talk about ships, I'm pretty sure, later on. But I mean, just on overall, like, technological advancements and devices, like, you got to admit Star Trek has Star Wars beat. I mean, you got food replicators, you got the holodecks on every ship. You got, sometimes 10 or 20 transporters on one ship. Just the transporter alone is super dope. You got temporal time devices, cloaking devices. The comm badge, after the 24th century has universal translators built in. Okay, you have to know actual languages in the Star Wars universe.
Hold on. Universal Translator is lazy. There's just, everybody can speak the same language. Come on. In Star Wars, you actually need to know languages to get around. Food Replicator makes synth ale. I'm sorry, I work at a brewery, dog. Like, I want actual ale. And how many times has the holodeck caused catastrophic results? Like, really, really bad things happen with the holodeck.
But really, really great things happen on the holodeck too.
Being chased by Sherlock. Oh no!
you take the good with the bad, and Moriarty was a very interesting situation, but also made for great television.
I mean, Star Wars is called Star Wars because it's a war-torn galaxy. We don't have time for all the frivolous luxuries that Star Trek does.
All right, you have 10 seconds for any other finishing remarks.
At the end of the day, I think it's clear that the technology available in Star Trek is just bounds better than the stuff that's available in Star Wars. I much would prefer to live in the reality of Star Trek than I would in Star Wars when it comes to technology.
Wes, do you have a rebuttal?
I guess if you want to live a cookie cutter, just really cushy little soft, fragile life. I guess that's fine, but Star Wars keeps it real.
Oh, come on.
All right. Okay. Thank you both. This is definitely Nerds in Space.
100%.
All right. So we're still in best technology. We're moving on to a much more specific category, best ship. So within, like, think about it. So best ship, we're talking warp engines, the aesthetic, and of course, the name. And so you have 6 minutes starting now.
I mean, going back to the aesthetic, I just got to reiterate the fact that Star Wars introduced a different kind of sci-fi that was worn and gritty and weathered. And it was in total contrast to everything that was being put out in sci-fi at the time, including Star Trek. I love that aesthetic. I love that feel. It feels very real to me. In terms of names, I'm sorry, but like, if you name a ship a Star Destroyer or name a battle station the Death Star, like, that's pretty on the nose. Like, you're getting the message across what you're about, right? Like,
is that a good thing?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's not very imaginative.
Yeah, there's a ton of great names when we're talking names of ships in the Star Trek reality. I mean, Voyager, Discovery, the Enterprise. I mean, Defiant. The list goes on and on. I mean, from Romulan warbirds to Borg cubes to Krenim temporal weapon ships and Klingon birds of prey. Star Trek has a ton of awesome ships. I mean, in Starfleet alone, we have, the Voyager bringing Delta Quadrant technology and Borg technology to Starfleet. The Discovery ship has a spore drive that can take you anywhere in the universe through the mycelial network and even outside of the universe to the mirror universe. Come on.
I use Moss to go places.
Yeah. No, hey, come on. Like, that's ludicrous speed.
Like, mushrooms can take you
plaid.
Anywhere.
No, man, no. No, I love the straightforward efficiency of the Star Wars naming convention. Like, an X-Wing is an X-Wing because it has an X on the back of it. An A-Wing's an A-Wing because it's shaped like an A. TIE fighters are twin ion engine fighters. Like, they tell you what's up. A Death Star is going to kill you because it's a freaking Death Star. Like, a Star Destroyer, like, there's no beating around the bush. Like, this is what's up. This is what's going on.
I mean, when we're talking like favorites here, like at least in the Star Trek realm, like there is no ship more intertwined with the essence of Trek than the Starship Enterprise.
The Enterprise, sure.
I mean, my favorite's the NC-1701D. It's the 4th iteration. I was talking about it a little bit before. We got 42 decks on this thing. It's like 8 times bigger than the OG Enterprise. Full passenger load of like 1,014 or 1,002 or something like that. And I mean, the maximum warp is, I know, less speed than the Millennium Falcon, but later on we get temporal stuff, so we could like win any race just by using time travel. They don't even have time travel in the Star Wars reality.
That's super cheating. They don't even have time travel. Again, the Falcon made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. That took skill. I'm sorry, that's not like a workaround.
Time travel is a huge part of science fiction, and the fact that there's no time travel at all in the Star Wars universe, to me, that's a hindrance.
Let's say a long, long time ago.
I will tip my cap to the Enterprise because the Enterprise is a dope ship. It's an iconic ship. And I would say the same thing for the Falcon in the sense that it almost becomes a character in and of itself, where you watch it throughout the ages. You watch it like new and pristine. You watch it trade hands. You watch it get beat up. And it's there for major moments like, destroying the second Death Star. The Falcon becomes its own character. And for that reason, I think it's like one of the best ships in sci-fi.
The same could be said about the Enterprise. I mean, it's certainly a character in the show. I mean, just like aesthetic wise, like when we look at the Millennium Falcon to the Enterprise, I mean, the Millennium Falcon looks like a beat up Frisbee, and the Enterprise looks like a high end luxury space vehicle. And, look at this thing.
Enterprise looks
so
sterile and void of character. Just Just
what are you talking about? This thing is beautiful, man. This thing right here, even to the casual viewer, these shapes right here, this says something. This says Star Trek to people who haven't even seen the show, or the casual viewer, to, you know, people like me who see this, and you just get really excited. What can I say?
No, it's absolutely iconic. How many times has it been destroyed though? Because I don't remember the Falcon ever being destroyed.
Well, the Starship Enterprise gets into the thick of it. You know, the Millennium Falcon has their maneuvers, and they run away. It's a smuggler's vehicle. They know how to hide. The Enterprise is an actual warship. We're talking Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Shots fired.
The Falcon destroyed a Death Star, dude.
Less than 1 minute.
The Enterprise has destroyed planet killers, Borg cubes.
I'm just saying,
equivalent to the Death Star and beyond.
The Falcon does not run away. The Falcon gets right into the thick of it. Battle of Yavin, Luke Skywalker's in the Death Star trench. Who shows up? The Falcon to get Vader off his tail, right? Like, the Falcon's there when it counts, and has never been destroyed.
I mean, maybe when Lando's piloting it, but...
Wow.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's clear that you want to walk around the Starship Enterprise, go check out the holodeck, go get your bum knee fix in the medical quarters.
I feel like you'd just be walking around a hospital or something. It's so sterile. There's no character inside.
Well, has everybody finished this category? That was very passionate. I could feel it.
I could go on and on. The ships in Star Trek are incredible and much more thought out than the ones in the Star Wars universe, in my opinion.
Have they made major theme park attractions to go on the Enterprise?
Oh, okay. No,
no?
Right, okay.
Not?
Well, the Enterprise isn't owned by the House of Mouse. So.
All right, neutral zone is now saying it's time to move on to our next category. This ship has sailed. Okay. All right. So we're still in best technology. We are now moving on to best weapons.
So
this is we're talking big and we're talking little, macro and micro. So for best technology, who has the best weapons, and go?
Well, I mean, I gotta say the Empire. Again, you go back to your Star Destroyers, but of course the ultimate weapon would be the Death Star. You also had the second Death Star and Starkiller Base, but it all started with the iconic Death Star. That's no moon. It's too big to be a battle station. This thing was just off the scope, amazing. Also, again, calling it the Death Star, just striking fear into the heart of the universe using the Tarkin Doctrine to literally explode entire planets so that millions of voices call out at once. That is nothing to fuck with.
No doubt. I got to give it to Star Wars on that one, actually. But when we're looking at actual usefulness for weapons on a macro sense, what comes to mind for me is transphasic torpedoes. You can literally destroy a Borg cube in one shot with one of these puppies. Janeway travels back in time in the finale episodes of Voyager to implement these torpedoes on her ship from the past, getting Voyager home a full 17 years or so earlier than would have been otherwise. Come on, stolen tech from the future, from another reality, brought into the prime reality of our Voyager, so we can see some Borgs get destroyed. Let's go.
She had to have her coffee first.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I can't disagree. I'm not going to say you're wrong, because you're right. That's a good point. Death Star could also destroy some Borg cubes. I think we're pretty equal footing here. There's some incredible weaponry.
There is. There's a lot of good weaponry here, and I got to give it to Wars. I mean, they're called Star Wars. There's got to be some good weapons out there.
I'm saying.
Yeah. But, when we're looking at, big ones, I also got to mention the planet killers, or, from the episode The Doomsday Device, the original series, and they were pop up here and there as well. They're an automated, sort of Death Star in their own right. They would go around and they would eat whole planets, and it's a completely automated robot. It would just suck up a planet and use that planet for energy and just keep going. Apparently it came from another galaxy, they theorized, with some race trying to get another race extinct in a big war, and they sent it over to their planet, killed them, and then it came back, but it accidentally killed their planet too, and it just kept going. Would not be able to stop this thing. It's got a neutronium alloy. It has kind of a hive mind of sorts inside of it, kind of like the ghosts of the people that create it, digital versions of them, almost like a little Borg cube in their own right. But when you come up against these things, there's only one way to destroy it, and that's from inside, kind of like killing the whale or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a major theme in a lot of just sci-fi in general, is weapons of mass destruction. But where I do think that Star Wars shines is on the handheld level, where you're dealing with lightsabers, a more elegant weapon for a more civilized time. And I'm sorry, but you cannot argue this is the best handheld weapon there is. It deflects blasters. It'll deflect a bowcaster, DL-44, and E11. And it comes in different shapes and sizes. You can do it. You can use it in different styles of martial arts. Very versatile, very powerful, very iconic. The lightsaber, I mean, come on.
I mean, I could just take a shot at the lightsaber with my phaser. If I hit it the right spot, I crack the kyber crystal, and we're good to go. I could, or maybe even vaporize the person before they turn around to hit me with their lightsaber. But we're going to talk about handheld. I mean, I gotta I don't know. I mean, it depends. I don't know if a lightsaber could deflect a phaser blast from a Star Trek phaser.
It can.
It's what they do.
That one I will say.
Well, okay. All right, neutral zone. Chill out.
So not to distract, but really, really quick interjection. Could Wes, would you consider the Force itself as a weapon?
No.
Okay. Well, because you can push people away. And you can choke
force lightning is definitely a weapon,
right? Yeah, force lightning, and the thing.
I'd say it has defensive capabilities. Yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
When we're talking elegant handheld swords, for me, I don't need no fancy lightsaber. Give me a batleth, a sword of honor, that traditional Klingon bladed weapon, a warrior's blade, crafted for balance and precision. You know how
quickly that fight would be over between a lightsaber and a batleth? It would take about 2 seconds.
Not if I'm using a legendary batleth from the one and only Kahless himself. According to Klingon mythology, the first batleth was forged by Kahless, the unforgettable, in the 9th century. Kalos, took a lock of his own hair and dropped it into lava and forged the blade by plunging it out of the lava. And that's pretty epic. You got to admit.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool. Respect to the battle, but the lightsaber's still gonna win.
Well, we'll leave it up to the audience to vote in the comments. Well, definitely setting phasers is stunning. Thank you both. Last section of best technology. I've been excited about this one. Again, 6 minutes. So, androids. Data. Ooh. So, for an example, Data versus R2 and 3PO. So
now we're talking.
Best androids. Go.
Okay. First off, I would be remiss if I didn't say mad props to Data. Data is one of my favorite androids. So just respect where respect's due. That said, R2 and 3PO have so much character within them. I mean, R2 doesn't even have words that we can understand. It's bleeps and bloops, but you can get the sass, like the Kenny Baker acting inside that droid gave it so much life. And the dynamic between the two of them goes back to like Akira Kurosawa's legendary film Hidden Fortress, with the two friends that are enemies and sassing each other all the time. the dynamic between those two is so palpable and entertaining. Data is drier, and Data has some really, really great episodes. Obviously a huge amount of character development.
Having a little connection issue.
I would say that
I'm gonna jump in. Oh, you're back. Okay.
Nearly took advantage.
Sorry, I missed the last thing you said, but I'm sure it was something along the lines of Data is the freaking GOAT, because Data is incredible. The dude can do millions and millions of computations per second, and has probably the greatest mind through his positronic brain of pretty much anyone in the whole Alpha Quadrant. But beyond that, he's got incredible strength. He's a super useful android, more so than R2 and C-3PO in a lot of ways, just because he has a sentience that's like confirmed. And I mean, the argument's out, I'm sure, that you can confirm sentience with R2 and C-3PO, but it is like very clear that Data is his own person. And, he's in a command role aboard the Enterprise, and he can freaking pick up a car with one hand, like the dude is incredible.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. And I will also say, props to Brent Spiner for just a fantastic portrayal. But where I say that Star Wars is going to pull ahead is quantity versus quality. Now, Data is a quality android for all the reasons you just listed. He's capable of incredible things that C-3PO and R2 are not. He can't fly, R2 can. But
he can float.
No rockets.
He's got a flotation device. Does R2 have that?
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
He gets pulled out by a ship.
Yeah. But I will say, just in the Star Wars universe in general, droids are much more prolific. So while they aren't as capable as a Data, I can't argue that. You're right. Data, by that one unit, is more capable than most droids in the Star Wars universe. But in the Star Wars universe, there's droids everywhere doing everything. Like you have droids fixing ships, you have droids flying ships, you have droids translating, you have droids that are medical doctors. So I think overall Star Wars takes the cake on their use of droids.
I mean, we got to talk about the droid quality of life as well. I mean, it would be a better situation for a droid to be in the Star Trek universe. I mean, even the exocomps, have their day, that you're afforded much more care and concern in the Star Trek reality than you would be in the Star Wars reality if you were a droid. So
yeah, but again, we go back to Star Trek being a much more cushy environment. It's a very soft-handed approach to sci-fi where there was literally a droid army in Star Wars because it's wars, and that's that's what you have the space for is to.
I can't believe you'd say that Star Trek is soft-handed when we have Klingons. Come on, the Klingons are brutal. They're tough, man.
That's true.
You're going a little off topic. Let's get back to droids.
Right. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And Literally, there was a droid army. There was droid soldiers, and
Roger.
Exactly. I'm not saying they were good soldiers, but yeah. So there's just many more droids in Star Wars, and there's a larger variety of droids in Star Wars, so it's more explorative and diverse. But if you get down to the central droids, C-3PO and R2 have been in every single film. They're sort of the historians of the saga, and they absolutely have sentience. They have developed characters of their own and become their own characters. They're not roll off the factory floor kind of droids.
I mean, neither is Data. Data, he was, he improves. He seeks to improve. Every day he becomes more of an individual. He strives to be human. He wants to be more human, and he isn't afraid of trying to learn and trying to grow. And I'm sorry, I haven't really seen much growth from either R2 or C-3PO over the years. They kind of just stay the same. Whereas R2
if you look at episode
adapts
1
and changes.
Bare bones exposed wires into the shiny polished goldenrod that he becomes. That he's absolutely developing.
Yet he's still sounds exactly the same, and
Well,
you know,
that's a sound
is very
processor. Come
annoying
on.
to the characters for sure.
It's endearing.
Everyone
mean-
rolls their eyes whenever C-3PO talks. People
Okay, but what
actually
about-
listen to Data.
What about R2 though? R2 is like Luke's best friend, who's like helped to destroy Death Stars. Has like
I mean, he's a glorified extra computer, you know? He's a little trash can.
Silence! Bring back my nerds.
All right. Sorry, I got getting a little carried away there, but Data is the man. Come on.
it's a passionate subject.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you again. So we're now moving on to Best Vision, and Fridge and Wes are both enjoying that stellar flagship IPA we were chatting about earlier.
Yep.
Next category, Best Vision. So, Best Vision, we're going to be talking story, and this section will be plot. And so you have 6 minutes to talk saddest scene, best fight scene, best space battle. So again, we're talking micro macro things as well. Most impactful death and overall story arc. And go.
All right. Star Wars saddest scene. It's hard to pick one, but I would say easily Episode 3 it has to be a front runner. There's several super sad scenes. Let's start with the slaughtering of younglings from the mentor that they trust, Anakin Skywalker, who's supposed to be the savior, the chosen one, and he literally just cuts down kids. That's pretty damn sad stuff. Then Padme finds out about it, totally breaks her heart. She's pregnant with twins and like losing all of her faith in this person, like her love. It's terrible. It's horrendous. It just like rips at your heartstrings. And then you have the Battle of Mustafar between Obi-Wan and Anakin, in which, you know, Obi-Wan is calling out, "You were like a brother to me," and watching everything fall apart and watching the Force fall to the dark side. It's tragic. It is truly tragic.
I mean, all the prequels were tragic that they got made in the first place.
Okay. Wow.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah, it sounds
Sudden
like you
Death
can't
Star.
I mean, that is a sad entry in the Star Wars saga. I will give you that. And the performance by Natalie Portman was, you know, worth commending for sure. She particularly was really heartbroken on screen. But you know what else is heartbreaking? Watching someone who just like completely gets torn down to the point to where they're about to take their own life. I'm thinking of Chief O'Brien, specifically in an episode of Star Trek DS9, when he gets wrongly convicted for a crime that he didn't commit and sentenced to 20 years of mind prison. And the whole sentence is carried out in less than a minute. But for him, it feels like it took 20 years. And he is traumatized by this event. He has a cellmate and he ends up killing his own cellmate. And he's just bereft with guilt. And he can't do it anymore. And he takes a phaser and he holds it to his face. And he's about to pull the trigger. And his best friend on DS9, Julian Bashir, saves him. So that was a pretty sad moment in Star Trek DS9. And, you know, if we're going to mention multiple sad moments, I might also bring up the scene where Jake Sisko sacrifices himself to save his dad, who's going through some weird, like, temporal connection with him. And Jake lives out his whole life and turns into an old man. He kills himself to save his dad, bringing Sisko back to young Jake so they can carry on. That's also really sad and worth mentioning. Talk about fight scenes. I got to go Gorn versus Kirk, or maybe any scene with Michael Burnham and Giorgio in Star Trek Discovery, because they kick hella butt in that. What do you got for space battle, Wes?
Okay, real quick, I just got to follow up on the saddest scene. How many people remember O'Brien almost killing himself, or Jake going through those things? Like, yes, they were very sad. Were they very iconic? No. Like, you can ask most people about it and they're not going to have any idea what you're talking about. But if you ask people about Mustafar, they're going to know what you're talking about. You were like a brother to me. I mean, come on. Anyways.
Wes is going out for midichlorians, man.
Best fight scene, I gotta give it to Star Wars. Not to say that I don't thoroughly enjoy a good cheesy Star Trek fight scene with the double-fisted punch, and they're fun to watch, but the lightsaber battles are epic. And I mean, like, you're talking about like choreography with Ray Park, Darth Maul flipping all over the place, double-bladed lightsabers with the score blasting and just like moving you to goosebumps. You've got like Luke Skywalker throwing down his lightsaber, saying he's not going to kill his father because he still believes there's good in him. Like these lightsaber battles are the stuff of legend. Like it is.
Didn't look very legendary in A New Hope, when they're just like wah 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 wah. They didn't get cool until later on.
If we had more than 2 minutes, I could explain all of that. However, we don't.
Space battle.
Space battles, I would say. I think that the Battle of Endor was harrowing because everything was on the line. You've got this new Death Star being built, but it's got shields up around it, and the Rebellion didn't know about it, so they need to send a ground team to take down the shields, and Akbar needs to pull away the fleet before they all get destroyed. And then Lando and Nien Nunb need to fly into the Death Star and blow it up from the inside. Like, everything is hanging on the thread, and like, if anything had gone wrong, it could have changed the entire outcome of the galaxy, but the Rebels pulled it off at the end of the day. That battle was edge of your seat.
I mean, as far as battles go, I gotta say Wolf 359, when Earth faced assimilation by the technologically superior Borg Collective, and Starfleet failed to hold the line. I mean, so many lives are lost, so many ships destroyed. Riker has to go up against his mentor, Captain Picard. It's very dramatic, intense. Jake and Ben Sisko lose their mother and wife, respectively, in that battle. And it's what led to the creation of the Defiant class starship. So there's that. Moving on to most impactful death, I got to say Spock in Wrath of Khan. I have been, shall ever be, your friend.
Respect.
Yeah.
That was a very, very moving death. I would counter that with the death of Darth Vader, because that's when he finds redemption right at the end of his life and goes back to Anakin Skywalker, goes full arc and shows the true return of the Jedi in Luke Skywalker. That death was poignant.
For sure. We got a lot of good deaths on both sides, I'd say.
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
time has run out. However, I'm going to be using my neutral zone powers, that be. Each of you gets 1 minute to talk and debate overall story arc.
Okay.
That is the last section. Best overall story arc, 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute. Overall story arc for me, I'm going to take the lead here, Wes. I have to go with the Dominion War in Star Trek DS9. I mean, it's practically a series-long story arc. Kind of the first time Star Trek was doing that stuff. Besides the storyline with the Prophets, like that was like the biggest thing going on in all of Star Trek DS9. And so many crazy things happened to it. We got to really see the darker side of Trek for the first time. Sort of a departure from the vision of Gene Roddenberry in a lot of ways, but it's what made our universe more rich in the long run. And it was just cool to see all of the decisions that had to be made in the name of war inside Star Trek. Not so soft-handed now.
Wes, your rebuttal.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it wasn't really until DS9 that you got into more serialized plot threads, whereas Star Wars was a saga from start to finish. It gives you that epic, that larger, grander storyline, where you're following generations of the same family, you're following the progress of the politics. And Star Trek always seemed so scattered to me, where everything was very episodic. You could watch one episode of Next Gen and then the next one, they have nothing to do with each other. And if you watch a different series, it has nothing to do with that series. So it's just all over the map. Star Wars keeps you on a central line of narrative that you can really invest in.
I mean, it seems like it's afraid to leave like a 50 or 60 year time span and not to focus on just one's family, whereas Star Trek, it spans hundreds of years and many, many different characters and is richer in that way, in my opinion. Okay, I think we're over a minute.
We're done.
Yeah.
I was just about to get this up. I'm like, wait, I'll give him a second. Okay. Well, that was debatable. Thank you. So next, piece of Best Vision characters. So, Best Captain, Best Overall, Best Aliens, and Best Villains. So, Captain, Overall, Aliens, Villains for characters, and go.
Bridge, you want to start, shall I?
I'll start it up. I mean, captain-wise, we gotta say the best of all time, Captain Janeway. She brought her crew from the Delta Quadrant all the way back to the Alpha Quadrant, had to make many decisions along the way, had to break the Prime Directive, but still maintain the integrity of Starfleet through all her actions. And, you know, she really, of all the captains, had to make the tough decisions and really perform well under pressure, never cracked. And, you know, maybe she didn't have as a familial of a relationship as some of the other captains with her crew, but she was singularly focused to complete the mission. And I think by far one of the best captains ever realized in science fiction.
Right on. Strong words. Wes,
that's a great
best
answer.
captain for you.
I was not expecting that. Yeah.
Oh, you were frozen.
So I'm gonna go.
You were in carbonite.
You got me?
You're back.
Are we back?
We got you.
All
Yeah.
right. So I'm gonna go deep cuts and pull Grand Admiral Thrawn for best captain. Now, Thrawn comes from the expanded universe, which is being brought into canon in the new Disney series coming up with Ahsoka Tano. But as a captain, he's a Chiss that works for the Empire. So already you know that he's got to be something special because they don't deal with aliens that often. You have to really be exemplary. And he won a lot of his victories by just being a cunning strategic mind, military mind that studied art and poetry of the opponents and figured out how to break them down. Just a brilliant mastermind of a captain.
So how about overall? Yeah,
keep
best
going.
Character.
Best character. You know, it's hard for me to choose because there's so many great characters. You know, and there are a lot of good characters in Star Wars too, but there's just literally so many more characters that are fully realized and have character development in the Star Trek universe. If we're looking at the original series, I gotta say Spock. You know, moving on to TNG, for me, it's Worf. I love Chief O'Brien in DS9, the Doctor, the MH in Voyager, T'Pol from Enterprise. I got to say, Captain Saru is, you know, what his short time as captain anyway in Star Trek Discovery. Probably Ensign Mariner from Lower Decks. And if we're looking at the Kelvinverse, it's got to be Scotty. I mean, come on, Simon Pegg kills it in the Kelvinverse as Scotty. I watch that anytime. Overall, best character of all of Trek, it's Data. Come on.
Right on, Wes. What about? I thought we were doing one.
No, there's a lot of good answers. And I mean, you can say the same thing for Star Wars too, right? Like, look at Palpatine, and I'm going to get to him later, like when we talk about villains, but you know, look at Han Solo and him coming around from being a full-blown smuggler and outlaw to a hero of the rebellion. Let's look at Princess Leia, okay? Like, as in terms of one of the best characters ever in sci-fi, like, this is a general, a warrior princess. Like, she helps shoot her way out of her own imprisonment and is talking sass back to the people that are rescuing her, and then goes on to lead a rebellion. Like, this character just tears it up, totally breaks down stereotypes, and shows that, like, you can be a badass. I mean, we already mentioned R2, but I love all the attitude and sass that R2 has without even having to use words. And then, of course, Anakin. Like, Anakin is really the big arc where you get the innocent child that goes through heartbreak, goes through loss, goes through tragedy, gets torn down, gets manipulated, turns into this super villain, and then at the end redeems himself and brings it all back home in events that change the entire outcome of the galaxy. So probably he's the most significant one, but there's so many good choices.
I mean, there's a lot of great female characters specifically in the Star Trek universe and fully realized ones. Like, y'all got Leia, but we got Uhura, we got T'Pol, we got Michael Burnham, we got Janeway, we got 7 and 9. I mean, even and let's start talking about villains a little bit. Like, we got the Borg Queen, you know, come on.
Okay, I'm sorry. If you want to get into villains, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I gotta say Big Papa Palps wins every day. Like, this dude, this dude's Right? Yeah, he started this way back. Like this was the long game, and he played chess with the entire galaxy and fucking won.
I mean, come on, like Palpatine, he seems to be like the one-trick pony of Star Wars. There are plenty of great villains in the Star Trek universe. We got Khan, we got Data's evil brother Lore. I mean, the list goes on and on. In my opinion, the villains are just way more thought out than the ones in Star Wars. It's always
disagree.
It's always the evil Empire, the Sith, Palpatine. It's like, come on. We got more variety in the Star Trek universe for villains.
What more do you need? And you have variety. You have bounty hunters that you could say are neutral, but like they do evil things sometimes. But it's Palpatine taking that long to realize his vision is all you really need. And then you have all the flavor of adding in like Darth Maul and Asajj Ventress and all these like incredible Sith Lords that are so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, but they're all part of the same evil empire. In Star Trek, there are plenty of different types of villains out there and different reasons to be a villain.
I mean, you've got like the Hutt mafia, right? Like the criminal syndicate. Like there's plenty of bad out there.
You want to talk syndicates? Don't forget the Orion Syndicate. Oh, sorry, Neutral Zone.
We didn't get to talk aliens, though.
Oh, okay.
So, would you rather, I'm putting an option out there, would you rather get back to that now, 1 minute each, or should we move that onto a different section?
Let me take a crack at aliens.
Yeah, let's do a minute-long alien session. Yeah.
Okay.
A minute-ish.
A minute. All right, aliens, and go.
I gotta say Star Wars wins on aliens for two reasons. One, just the diversity and proliferation of aliens, which was established in episode 4. You walk into the Mos Eisley Cantina, but they had one of those scenes in every single movie. You walk into Maz Kanata's, you walk into Canto Bight, and you just pan around the room and you're seeing creatures of all shapes and sizes. And in Star Wars, you have aliens that are not bipedal humanoids. And in Star Trek, I feel like it's a really narrow scope of granted, it was a lower budget, but you know, when every alien, like the difference is, oh, look, they have weird eyebrows or like their ears are a little pointy. Like, come on, we can do better than that. And Star Wars did.
Dude, don't disrespect the aliens on Star Trek. Come on now. I mean, like the core 4 in the beginning, you know, we got like Tellarites, Andorians, Romulans, Vulcans. I mean, then we got like the Klingons. Yeah, maybe they walk on 2 feet, but there are other races beyond that don't even have a corporeal body. Are there incorporeal beings in the Star Wars universe? Are there omnipotent beings like the Q race in the Star Wars universe? The variety, you talk about variety. Come on, there are so many different races in the Star Trek reality. It's too much to count. It's insane. And you know, all alongside the best of humanity, what we want to evolve to be. And what we're really looking at here is it's an allegory for humanity. No matter, the aliens on both sides. It's I don't know. Star Trek's just killing it, in my opinion, when it comes to alien races. And my favorite alien race of all time, it's got to be the Andorians. Let's go.
Okay. Throw this up for you both. Thank you very much for talking aliens. It's definitely an infinite debate on that one. The universe is just too big for the both of them. All right. So we're moving on to within Best Vision, we're going to be talking music. And I know that you both are very, very passionate about this subject. I feel like you're both in tune with things. I'm here all day. So best music is best composer, piece overall, and best use of music. So again, best composer, piece overall, and best use of music. Go.
Well, I mean, it's got to be the opening fanfare to the Star Trek original series, the TOS, you know, written by Alexander Courage. That piece and that composer, possibly the greatest of all time. I mean, it's one of the most culturally recognized musical memes in existence. Also, you know, to a lesser degree, the Next Generation opening fanfare is also like going to just bring even the non-Star Trek viewer into that reality. Even if you don't know anything about Star Trek, you hear that music, you're gonna immediately put that together with Star Trek. So, I mean, pretty powerful stuff. Come on.
My rebuttal would be John Williams.
Mike, stop.
I knew this was coming.
I mean, come on. And
did you sense it, Fridge?
I could sense it. Yeah.
You can't even argue it because, like, I know you're a nerd too, and John Williams wrote the soundtrack to our youth. Like, John Williams did Superman, did Jaws, did Indiana Jones, did E.T., did Jurassic Park, and probably, like, the feather in his cap, his best work was Star Wars. Like, if you want to talk about iconic music that everybody gets, whether they know the franchise or not, the opening crawl to Star Wars is recognized all across the world.
All right. I'm gonna give you this round. Actually, like we'll say best composer overall. Obviously, it's John Williams. I can't even argue that, people.
I mean,
I'm
we
willing
have
to
the privilege.
admit defeat.
We live on the same planet at the same time as a genius. That, like, we are so privileged to have access to his work.
You're right. However, the music in Star Trek is dope, and it gives John Williams a run for his money, I would say, you know?
So what would be the best piece overall then, Fridge, in like besides the opening? Or is that...
I mean, for me, and you know, this is probably going to surprise a lot of people, but I am a huge fan of Star Trek Enterprise. It's kind of critically panned. A lot of people find it, to me, one of the worst entries in the franchise. I love it, and I absolutely adore the Star Trek introduction song in Enterprise, Faith of the Heart. It's been a long road getting from there to here. It's been a long time, but my time is finally here. So Ash and I, my fiance, we absolutely love that song. That song's gonna be playing at our wedding. It's my ringtone whenever I call her. So it's got a very special place in my heart. Yeah. And I love it. The Faith of the Heart. I've got so much faith. Like,
right on. And so much heart too. So Wes, best piece overall.
I mean, it's a tough pick. Like, I think the most iconic would just be the main theme, you know, the opening crawl or the throne room theme. Yeah, you know, it's like that hits everybody. But obviously, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Imperial March, which wasn't actually introduced until episode 5, so it didn't even appear in the first Star Wars movie. I also really love Duel of the Fates, which appeared in the prequels, and that was like one of the more orchestral pieces where they had the singing involved, and it was so moving to watch that scene happen at the same time. But one of the brilliant things that John Williams does is merge these themes into a score. So, like, Luke has his theme, Leia has her theme, Han and Leia have their theme, Jabba has his theme, Vader has his theme. And as they go through the scenes, they just weave together in this beautiful, intricate balance. That's like, it's just pure brilliance.
I mean, that is dope.
Took a pause there.
Yeah, all good. You can take your time back. I mean, you know, there's a lot of great music throughout Star Trek as well. In the Kelvinverse, we were blessed with Michael Giacchino. I thought about him as using for the best composer as well. Absolutely incredible.
A lot of good work there.
Incredible body of work. Some of my favorite stuff ever, including, you know, beyond Star Trek, Lost, and, you know, dude did Up. Like, come on, good stuff. But the best use of music overall also comes out of the Kelvinverse for me. That's got to be Sabotage in the 2009 iteration, the relaunch of Star Trek, which got a lot of people back into Star Trek and proved that it was still a viable franchise. So thanks for that, JJ. You know, you did some lesser than work in the Star Wars realm. You did a lot better over here in Star Trek, but
I mean, JJ also brought Beastie into the Star Wars verse as well. I mean, it's kind of what he does wherever he goes. It's like his calling card. But so I don't know that you get one up on that, because we can We can make the same claim.
I don't remember the scene at all from Star Wars that has Beastie Boys, and everybody remembers the scene from Star Trek with Beastie Boys.
Oh no, it's more Easter eggy. It's not like actual music. It's character names. And
So
what would you say? What's the best use of music? Yeah. Sorry, Sarah.
20 seconds, Wes.
Oh, best use of music. I gotta say it's either Duel of the Fates or the main theme. And like if you get to the throne scene at the end of episode 4, A New Hope, and the award ceremony and all the triumph and bombast.
Awesome. Again, this was just about to come out. I was like, I'll let it finish the sentence. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And you guys finished right at the 6-minute mark. I'm honestly surprised.
Me too.
I could keep going.
We need to move on.
Yeah.
All right. This is the last section of Best Vision.
Okay.
This will be Best Actor Portrayals. So this is pretty in-depth. So it's going to be talking your top 3 actors, honorable mention, groundbreaking performances, and then it kind of transitions into the best romance, best dressed, and best catchphrase. So there's a lot. This category has a lot of characters. So again, it's top 3, honorable mention, groundbreaking, best romance, best dressed, and best catchphrase. I'm okay.
No worries.
Okay. So I'm going to lightning through these because we have a lot to cover. And honestly, I would be shocked if Fridge would argue any of this. Star Wars played host to Christopher Lee, the legendary Christopher Lee. Sir Alec Guinness, Peter Cushing. Like we're pulling in major thespians that are bringing a lot of gravitas to these films, where you're bringing in like a lot of new talent in the form of Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher. But when you add in these really renowned actors, it adds a legitimacy to the films that you're just like, you can't argue. These guys are Hollywood legends, legacies. So, I mean, I got to call those guys out.
For sure. I mean, for me, like top 3, it's going to be Patrick Stewart, Leonard Nimoy, Leonard Nimoy as Spock. Come on. And it's got to be actually Sonequa Martin Green from Discovery. Like, she really got me rooting for a character that I shouldn't be rooting for in the first season of Discovery. She committed mutiny, got her captain killed. Not a very likable character in the first season, but just her performance alone just got me coming back again and again. And now I love her character. So big ups to her. An honorable mention, I got to say Jeffrey Combs. He's one of the most prolific actors in the Star Trek universe. He's played Weyoun. He was Brunt FCA. He was my favorite, Shran, the Andorian in Enterprise. Absolutely love him there. And he's played a few other roles throughout the years as well. Dude is an incredible actor.
I got to give a shout out to Ian McDermott as an honorable mention for not only just nailing his role as Palps, but coming back to it so many years later and just picking up the thread right where he left off. Like, this dude has been playing that role for a long time and killing it the whole time.
Like groundbreaking performances.
Performances. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, like, the Starship Enterprise crew included Uhura and Sulu in the original series, and that in itself is groundbreaking to have a black actress and an Asian American actor on the bridge. Like, that is super groundbreaking. And also it had the first ever interracial kiss on American television when Kirk and Uhura kissed. There's been so many like firsts in Star Trek, like the first female lead like in a sci-fi series that's a captain, Kate Mulgrew, as Janeway. It had the first openly gay characters that were in a couple relationship, with Anthony Rapp and Wilson Cruz in Discovery. And it also in Discovery, another first there, the first non-binary characters. There's been a lot of groundbreaking performances in Star Trek, and it's always been inclusive in everything that it tries to put out.
I wouldn't disagree with that, and I absolutely give props and respect to Star Trek for that, hands down. And for a long time, there's a long legacy of that, and so mad respect. In terms of groundbreaking performances, like for Star Wars, I guess I would take it a different direction and say that it really launched Harrison Ford's career. He had only been in a little bit of work before that and really wasn't even auditioning for the role of Han Solo. Just kind of fell into the right place at the right time. You had a teenage Carrie Fisher, teenage Mark Hamill. Lucas knew to pull in this young unknown talent, and he found the right people to do the job to create this incredible legacy that has lasted generations. So, I mean, really gave people a launch point, and that's been a legacy since then, where you've seen Daisy Ridley come up and stuff like this. So, always an opportunity to get new people on the map, and yeah, I mean, really, really launched some incredible careers. I mean, you look at everything that Harrison Ford's done, and you think back, like, could that have happened without Han Solo?
Legit. What's next in the section here?
Yeah, best romance, best dress, and best catchphrase, and you have a minute.
Okay, romance, I gotta be on team Riker and Deanna. I mean, like, Troy and Riker's romance is quintessential to the Star Trek universe. Wow, you're yawning. Okay, whatever, man.
At first dude, wake up! Like, oh.
Best dress, gotta be Guinan. Whoopi Goldberg killed it on Star Trek The Next Generation as Guinan, and her hat is iconic. Best dressed for sure. And what was the last one, Sarah?
Catchphrase.
I mean, come on, beam me up, Scotty. Let's go.
Hey.
Beam me up, Scotty's great. I would also
Beer
say Live Long and Prosper gets up there, but I'm sorry, for best romance, like, nothing can rival Padme and Anakin. Their relationship literally broke the galaxy. Like, that relationship had shattering ramifications. So you'd be hard pressed to go a more extreme romance than that. Even though, I mean, Han and Leia is great, and Luke and Leia is weird.
Right.
Best dressed. Padme Amidala. She's a queen. She's regal. She's done up, makeup, full dress. I mean, costume design, immaculate, on point. I know we're going over time.
Catchphrase.
You'll never find a more wretched type of scum and villainy. The possibility of successfully navigating Ascension field is approximately 7,320 to 1. Do or do not. There is no try. May the force be with you. Luke, I'm your father.
Boom!
That's what's up. All right. I'll give it to you.
Excellent. So that concludes Best Vision.
Okay.
And so moving on, the next category is Best Fandom. This is its own expanded universe in itself. So we're actually going to be doing 10 minutes total for Best Fandom. And so this is, we're talking about the fans, of course. We're talking about the culture. So costumes, cosplay, toys, the conventions, and of course, like TV shows, movies, cartoons, things like that.
Okay.
And so it's Best Fandom, 10 minutes.
Take it away, Wes.
Thank you. I gotta say that Star Wars is just gonna crush this one all day, every day. Like, if you look at cosplay and fan groups, you've got the 501st Legion, which does tons of charity work and events. You've got the Rebel Legion. You've got your droid builders. You've got your Mando mercs. These are all just separate fan clubs. Plus, you have your individual fan clubs, like collectors clubs, all around the world. Then you have your conventions. You go to Star Wars Celebration. These are international events that sell out every time, weekends long, happen in Japan and England and the States. And attendance for those, like, I think the last one was 65,000 people. versus a Star Trek convention. The largest one is in Vegas. It's 15,000 people max. So I mean, I'm saying like we bring the bang. Like it's when a Star Wars convention happens, it goes all out. It's big time. If you want to talk about toys, I mean, don't even get me started. Kenner and the Star Wars legacy of toys is hands down one of the best in the entire industry, like across any franchise. And that came from George Lucas's genius. But the value of some of those figures are staggering. Like if you look at the J slot Boba Fett, if you look at the vinyl backed Jawa, you're talking about figures that are going for $225,000. If you look at the most valuable Star Trek figure, you're looking at like Amigo from the vintage era. You could get that for maybe $100 online. This is no contest.
I don't know, that like
now.
weird hat with the light on top.
Yeah, Spock's helmet.
So
Thank
cool.
you. Spock's helmet is amazing. I'm 100% in agreement with you, Sarah. Thank you. But we wouldn't even have any of these events if not for the pioneers that created the first Star Trek convention. Star Trek is why we even have conventions. They are this is the reason. Because of Star Trek, we're able to even have these bloated, over budget Star Wars events with all the fake plastic people. If you want real science fiction, you want real diehard. And honestly, the pioneers of cosplay in itself as well. That would be the Trekkies, the Trekkers. The cultural impact of these events has been staggering through so many different intellectual properties, media franchises. And I mean, like, as far as toys go, like, yeah, maybe some of the Star Wars toys are more expensive, but, does price indicate value towards something, like intrinsically? Come on now. Like, without the Star Trek toys of the late 70s, there wouldn't have even been any Star Wars toys made. So like, you got to respect that Star Trek is the whole reason that Star Wars was even able to, ride off the coattails, so to speak, of Star Trek. So
I will give credit where credit's due. Star Trek did get the ball rolling on conventions. Star Trek did get the ball rolling. Well, I wouldn't even say on figures. Like, figures were already around. Star Trek was just part of the game, and they happened to come before Star Wars. But conventions, I'll give you. That said, just because you did it first doesn't mean you did it best. And Star Wars has, I mean, like, again, looking at Celebration, it's this international convention that sells out immediately. That's... you can't argue it. You can't argue numbers. And like the beautiful thing about going to those things and those fandoms, like, which I have been to, is that when you go there, everybody's there for the same reason. So you can call them plastic people, but these are nerds. These are our people, man. And like, you can stand in front of a total stranger in line and already know that you're friends with them because you're there for the same reason. You have the same passions. And then, growing up, like when we were kids, you had to have Star Wars action figures. You had to have them. It was like a necessary part of being a child. I can't say the same for Star Trek. Like, and you had to have multiple Stormtrooper figures just so that you had enough for a scene. It was like everybody would bring their figures together, right? Just because you wanted to like pull everything together and have like as many figures as possible. That was never the case with Trek.
I mean, I personally am very fond of my late 90s Romulan warbird up here, all right? Thing's dope. And I have many action figures, including Cowboy Worf, Hugh the Borg. I got a Neelix over here. I mean, there are tons of action figures in the Star Trek realm, just like Star Wars, and have brought joy to children and adults alike for many, many years here. And
do they have people like lining up for their midnight release and selling out of the shelves like immediately? Because Star Wars does.
I mean, like I said, you know, there might be more toys and more expensive toys in the Star Wars realm, but that doesn't mean anything about the value that it holds to the individual. Something only costs as much as someone's willing to pay for it, and it's baffling to me that people would pay for these overpriced pieces of plastic in the first place when you could just get something that has a little bit more value, and it's a little bit more economically responsible as well. How about that?
Well, you're capturing a piece of history. You're capturing something that's going to be legitimate long term, whereas like a Star Trek figure could be forgotten next week, right? But like this J Slot Boba Fett is never going to be forgotten.
I wouldn't worry about it being forgotten in more than a week. You know, there's many more hours worth of Star Trek to watch than there are Star Wars, and there's a lot less people pissed off in the fandom about the decisions that have been made for our properties. I mean, in both fandoms, there's going to be people who are upset about whatever the next one is. Like that's just part of toxic fandom. But
sure.
I would say that the Star Wars fans tend to be a little bit more toxic by nature over there. And that's just an observation. I mean, people from our camp were inspired to become, engineers and check out other scientific fields. I mean, even physicist Stephen Hawking was a fan of the show. Come on. Like, we've got a ton of great people being inspired by Star Trek for many, many years.
I mean, sure. But if you're trying to make the argument that Star Wars is not inspiring to people, that's just patently false. Like, Star Wars offered so much ingenuity and creativity and revolution to the film industry that it inspired people to push the boundary, which continues to this day within ILM. There's so much that Star Wars has brought to the field in so many ways that it's inspired people. And that's just on the technical side. You're not even talking about the moral value of the narrative of the series, right? The story of redemption and finding good in people. Star Wars is absolutely inspiring, and it inspires people to be creative. Like, if you look at the fandoms,
yeah, I mean, if you want to talk moral value, come on now. Like, there's a code of morals in Starfleet that goes well and above anything from Star Wars, in my opinion.
I mean, the Force is entangled entirely in the debate of good and evil, right? And finding good in people, and like that, it is the central focus.
I mean, Star Trek represents what we could be, the best of humanity. It inspires people to be better people, in general. And that's something that Star Wars, frankly, just doesn't have. And, if we're talking about cultural impact here, I'm going to circle back to the Klingonese. Like, there's a whole language from Star Trek. You don't have that in Star Wars. And Star Trek is the only media franchise that's clearly referenced in the Unicode emoji standard, the Vulcan salute. Let's go.
I can't argue that, but no, I mean, like, in terms of like creativity and inspiration, if you look at droid builders, like people that are actually building R2 units, like the functional R2 units that they've built in their garages, or people that are fabricating costumes for the 501st or for the Rebel Legion, for the Mando Mercs, that are movie quality standard. This is so much creativity, and like, I don't mean to take a super dig at Trek, but like the costumes are easy. You just put on a onesie and you're good. Like that's not, it doesn't take that much effort. Like,
I mean, many of the conflicts and the political dimensions of Star Trek are allegories for, things that are happening in cultural realities of the time. Decade to decade, whenever the Star Trek entity was produced, they are tackling issues of the moment. And, that in itself is really important. And, I don't see that from Star Wars, personally. And, like, we can keep going on. Beam me up, Scotty. Live long and prosper. That stuff lives on in people's minds and hearts forever.
That was fabulous. I love listening to you both. This has been just so much fun.
Too much fun.
It's so much fun. All right.
Cheers.
Yeah, beer me up, Scotty, you too. Okay. Last piece of today's debate. we're calling this the Force Lightning round. And so there's going to be a couple of questions. So just like quick and easy answer. So I'm going to ask the question. You each take your turn to answer, and then we'll move on to the next question. And we've got 4 lightning round questions for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
So no timer on this one then.
Make them short. This is Force Lightning.
Okay.
I know you can do it. I believe in you. All right, first question. So we're gonna Wes first. And then Wes, after you answer, Fridge will go next. If you could trade one character for one from the opposing universe, there you go. Who and why?
Okay. Easy answers, Jar Jar Binks. I know everybody dislikes this alien for a lot of reasons. The reason that I'm picking him is because he was given senatorial power by Queen Amidala, where he had no purpose being there, no qualifications, and he was the one that offered the vote of no confidence against Chancellor Valorum, which gave Palpatine his rise to power. Basically, Jar Jar screwed over the galaxy royally, and he had no place being in that room to begin with. So you can take him. I don't want him. If I could pull somebody in, my first thought was to take Data because, again, Data is a badass android, mad props. However, then I kind of took a step back and wanted to go a little bit bigger with it. So I'm going to say Noonien Soong, who was the creator of Data and also other androids. So you're getting more bang for your buck.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah, that was good. I was thinking badass prop for Data. I thought that was kind of funny. Fridge, your turn.
So if I had to trade someone from the Star Trek reality, everyone is really valuable in their own right. My mind, took me to some of the more annoying characters in some people's minds, maybe Lwaxana Troy, Deanna's mom, she's always causing problems, maybe want to skip that episode of TNG until Lwaxana featured episode. I mean, the actress herself is the voice of the computer, and she played number 1 in the original series, so I'll keep those characters. But
I did not know that.
Yeah, Lwaxana, as she was also married to Gene Roddenberry as well.
Yep.
So, she's a epic in all of Star Trek lore, but Lwaxana is probably one of my least favorite characters. So she came to mind. But then I got to thinking, like, who else would I want to get rid of? And I have to say, I'd probably get rid of Quark from DS9.
I love Quark.
Yeah, I love Ferengis. I'm a big fan of Nog, and I really like Rom. And Quark is great, don't get me wrong, but as far as usefulness goes, I don't know. And maybe he'd be better suited to enact the Ferengi rules in the Star Wars universe. So, he'd probably be happy. But I'm going to switch him up, send Quark over, and I was thinking about taking Mace Windu at first because, having Sam Jackson in your franchise is automatically a win.
Can't go wrong.
And I feel like he'd make an excellent addition to Section 31, with his sort of leaning in the center, the neutralness of his Jedi abilities. But then I got to thinking a little bit more, and I realized I'd actually rather prefer to have Lando Calrissian. So I'll trade Quark for Lando because he's just too cool, too smooth. Gotta have Lando on Team Trek. I just want to see him and Riker have a conversation. I think it would be amazing.
Lando's not up for trade.
No.
Well, and it totally makes sense as well because Lando would have a cloaking device.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what's up.
All right. Next Force Lightning round question. Worst of the franchise. Worst. Wes, you go first.
So I got to say this with all of the love and respect, because in my heart, I actually really do love this piece, but I recognize that I love it because it is so bad. The holiday special. The production that Lucasfilm wanted to sweep under the rug and make pretend that it never happened for good reason. It was
Yeah.
shoehorned in. It was poorly acted. It was disjointed. It was ridiculous. But for all of those same reasons, it's actually kind of entertaining in a really bad way. In a really, really bad way.
I want to take B. Arthur too. Can I have Lando and B. Arthur's character?
No, I want to keep B.
Arthur.
Fridge,
Worst of the franchise.
Worst of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my mind went to the 1970s animated series, the animated series, just because it's, not the one that I really want to watch ever. And that was like, is that the only reason that it's the worst? And then when I got to thinking about it, I imagined all the movies. I started thinking about Star Trek Nemesis. That one's kind of panned, but I really enjoy it. And I landed on Star Trek Generations. That one is not the best in my opinion. Seeing Kirk and Picard together was something I didn't really need, and also having Malcolm McDowell kill Kirk was not something that any fan of the original series wanted to see. And I just felt like the acting in that and the whole production was a little lackluster. I really enjoy the scene on the Enterprise, like actual naval ship with the Enterprise crew. Like that's a great scene, but overall, just the movie itself, not so great.
All right, this next question I'm really excited about. Who would win in a battle? Red shirts or stormtroopers? So to clarify, we already had this discussion. Red shirts, without names, from the original series. Your typical.
I was gonna say,
your typical landing party that you don't know. You have no idea who they are. They're just wearing a red shirt. So who would win in a battle?
The ones that don't come back.
Yeah.
I mean, Wes, you want to take it away here?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a really good question because both of these teams are pretty good at dying. Like, let's just call to attention the fact that stormtroopers, by the time you get to the original trilogy, are not the clone troopers, these elite troopers that they had been bred to be. They all had advanced aging systems born into their genetics, so they expired earlier. So stormtroopers are not like super troopers. They're just dudes in buckets. And let me tell you, like, I can wear this. It is hard to see shooting out of this thing. It is not easy.
It's also hard to see doors as you walk into them as well.
Totally. I'm saying they're, but that's the Empire's thing, is it's just cannon fodder. It's just like you put enough people in front of enough lightsabers and like hopefully you get a shot through, but like they're not that good. Whereas the red shirted ensigns are supposed to actually be good, I think. Like they're supposed to be capable and they just die over and over and over again.
Well, this space is a very dangerous place. Going away on away missions is not for the faint of heart. And they are, I think Red Shirts really wins this one, no question. They're highly trained Starfleet cadets. They die, but they're doing some really dangerous stuff in the 23rd century under Kirk's command, and the red shirts of the later series, they don't really have that same shtick of like going out and dying. This only really happened early on in TOS. And, after Kirk's reign, they started not letting captains go out on away missions as much, because of sort of his cavalier approach and getting a lot of people killed, I'd say, but
not a shining review on Kirk then.
I like Kirk. I actually, really enjoy Kirk, but he's definitely not my favorite captain. I think that he could have made some better decisions and been a little bit more focused on, he was dedicated to his crew. That's not fair for me to say, but I don't know why I'm arguing against Star Trek here.
Stop it. I get now why you picked Janeway. We're kind of a little off topic.
The question comes down to like stormtroopers were put out there specifically to die, I think, and red shirts were put out there without the intention of them dying. They just were very
happened to.
I mean, except for that red shirt in the Star Trek Kelvinverse, who like literally opened his chute way too late and just like flew into the. That was terrible. You know, that guy. If it's that guy, then we're screwed. But
I would love to hear the neutral zone, because like I don't feel like this is a Star Wars, Star Trek kind of answer. Like, Sarah, where do you fall on the red shirts versus troopers?
I'm definitely, I mean, I'm the neutral zone. All I see, is just stormtroopers, like in my brain, stormtroopers shooting, and just like
missing.
They're missing, but the red shirts are just dying anyway. So I feel like it's a tie. We were talking stormtroopers versus the original series, but I do think this was a tie. It's just a really fun question.
For sure. I'm happy with the tie on this one.
Yeah, I would take that as well.
Yeah. Just keep it that way. All right. Last question, not only of the Force Lightning round, but this is the last question of today's debate. Galactic libations. From which universe is the best galactic libation? So, of course, we're here at HenHouse Brewing. We're drinking beer. We're talking beer. We got to talk space drinks.
Absolutely.
So Wes, go for it.
I mean, first and foremost, I gotta say, in Star Wars universe, there's no such thing as fake alcohol. That only exists in Star Trek. But we do have Corellian whiskey. We've got death sticks. We've got spice. We've got all kinds of mind-altering substances. Tobacco you've got in the Mos Eisley Cantina. I
mean, dude, there's drugs in the Star Trek reality as well. I mean, there's like these weird vapes in the Star Trek Picard series that people will be using that is some kind of stimulant. In Star Trek Discovery, Ensign Tilly takes some like really crazy hallucinogenic with Ron Howard's brother, who's also like one of those guys that's been in every iteration of Star Trek. And in Discovery, he plays this hilarious character who gives Tilly some crazy like space LSD, basically, or space opium. So there's tons of drugs in the Star Trek reality as well. It's just that Starfleet officers don't debase themselves like, a lot of Star Wars characters might. But as far as real alcohol goes, I mean, you're forgetting, there's Klingon blood wine. Come on. That is probably the coolest alcohol in science fiction, in my opinion. And then there's Romulan and Andorian ale. I mean, there's even Earth whiskey. It exists in Star Trek. All the different distillations and beer and all that stuff it exists in Star Trek. I've never seen beer in Star Wars before. So there's that. And, the synthale thing, I get what you're coming from, but, you still get a mind-altering effect. It can just immediately go away so you can get back to work. And that's a safety issue, You don't want a bunch of drunk people on the Enterprise.
You soft hands, luxury living...
Space OSHA does not approve.
No way, man. Yeah, no. You walk into a place like Maz Kanata's castle, you walk into the Mos Eisley Cantina, and immediately what you're up against. You're like, this is a rough and tumble place. It's got hard-hitting drinks that are going to work. You have to have your wits about you, and you can't have a cheap cop-out like, oh, I'm going to drink a fake drink I'll be able to shrug off in a moment. Like, no. That's not how we roll. We play for keeps.
I think you're not thinking about the real world implications here. Like, synthale would be kind of dope if you could like actually feel a buzz and then have that go away if like something really crazy happens all of a sudden. Like, hey, we need you to report to the bridge. Do you want to show up there like drunk, from Maz's Tavern, or do you want to show up there with a clear mind, having just had fun with your friends at 10 Forward, chilling with Whoopi? Come on.
I'm also going to take it meta and say that George Lucas created a vineyard and a label, Skywalker Vineyards. So like it's gone from fantasy to actual reality. You can really drink Star Wars wine.
Isn't there Chateau Picard? Like that's
there
thing?
Is Chateau Picard. Yeah, I was about to say.
Ah, damn.
There's plenty of vineyards. There's literal Earth in Star Trek, so we're good on vineyards.
Oh, that was Perfect. All right. Any no more galactic libations.
Just Earthbound ones.
Just Earthbound. All right. So that concludes our first ever debate here at HenHouse Brewing. That was fun. Thank you both so much for representing your universes so well. I would say most impressive. And thank you for joining us today for our debate's maiden voyage. We know you'll ask your replicators for our new double IPA expanded universe. It's way better than blue milk. Trust us. And gentlemen, your departing words, please.
Fridge, thank you so much. Sarah, thank you for hosting and leading this conversation. Fridge, thank you for the always stimulating conversation. I wish we had more time.
Me too, buddy.
Yeah. With that, I will just say live long and prosper, buddy.
Wes, I gotta say, it's been a lot of fun talking science fiction with you. And Sarah, thank you so much for hosting this expanded universe debate for the expanded universe double IPA. And I just gotta say, may the force be with you.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
And then actually drink.